So I'm feeling a huge amount of anxiety today. Last night, I don't feel anxiety often. It's kind of like, it is a sort of rare thing for me. But last night I literally had to just go to sleep at about 8:30 because it was bothering me too much. I'm probably brainwash. I probably am brainwashing myself with all these things that I'm seeing online. Just about the migrants or Islamic looking people from foreigners that have come here. I can't say if they really are illegal because some of them might not be, but the problems are bad. The problems are really bad, and the more I think about it, the more it bothers me. Birmingham has always been a multicultural place, but it does not feel multicultural any longer. It feels like white British people are definitely the minority, and the number of people that look mentally ill are on the increase. And I'm not saying that all Islamic people are mentally ill, but I think a lot of them are definitely. But that doesn't mean that they're, there's white people, there's Christians that are mentally ill. Mentally ill is something that is a big range, but it doesn't feel safe. Let's just say that it does not feel safe, even cycling across town, and more people are noticing this and feeling this. How many of you walk around and think how many of these people would probably attack you with a knife if they had a chance? I just feel like it's on the edge. I really, when I walk around, I feel like probably about 80% of these people are capable of having a knife and stabbing me and not caring. And am I one of those 80%? Yes, I definitely am one of those 80%, because I feel like I'm on the edge too, that if someone does stab me with a knife, that I would like to have a knife to be able to stab them back. That is anxiety. This is anxiety that I'm feeling, and it's not something that I've ever felt before. I've never felt like I needed to have like some sort of pepper spray or what you've got. I've seen a knuckle duster that has that gives out 100 volts of electricity if you touch someone. I'm actually thinking about getting one of those because it's not feeling safe at all. It's always been multicultural, but I always thought like the crowd was quite young. There was always a lot of like school kids around, and now they're not school kids. It almost feels like it's the same crowd, only this time they're 5 years older. And yeah, it's getting more and more. It's also the clothing. Like there's a lot of people wearing black clothing, a lot more people wearing bandanas, and the thing that you rob banks with. There's a lot more people in Birmingham wearing this, and it just does not feel safe. It feels like their goal is to steal from you and then run off. And it's not feeling good, and it feels like a war is around the corner. And I had a conversation. There was two people who were just talking about health and how the health. If only the schools would teach about diets and education. Vegetables, fruit and veg. And to me, I was just like, how are you having this big long conversation about the importance of fruit and veg when I'm pretty sure we're about a couple of weeks away from having some sort of big civil war? Like I don't know if it's a couple of weeks or I don't know if it's another year, but it's feeling like this war against Islam is going to be soon, and it feels like it's going to be nasty. And she's thinking that the government's doing everything wrong because all they need to do is teach kids how to eat fruit and veg. I mean, to me that just sounded like ignorance, but I kind of wanted. I don't know, the conversation, I was saying, why are you not concerned about the war? When one of the ladies left, I just added that, why are you thinking about health and safety of fruit and veg when I think there's a lot bigger problems. And yeah, she seemed multicultural, but I don't know. It did turn against talk about Islam a bit, and she said, oh, they're responsible for science and they're responsible for the abacus, and I don't know what else. I can't remember the things that she said, but whatever she said, it reminded me of a YouTube clip, an Instagram clip, where they were saying all the things that Islamic people have done. But I've also seen a counter clip of that, where people have taken that and they've said, actually, who did that thing? And then they actually said, no, this was done by this person who was not an Islamic person, and this one was actually done by this thing, and so it was not Islamic person. And so I've seen the two versions of it, and she was just like, oh, but you're just choosing what to believe, aren't you? You're choosing to believe this, and I'm choosing not to believe this. But aren't you just choosing? How do you know you're right? Just because, I can't remember what it was, but I can't remember exactly. I remember if I hear it, I wouldn't be able to say it, but if I hear it, I'll be like, yeah, that's what, I've heard that video. But yeah, I was saying that they contribute war. And she was like, oh, I don't know how. She was just, oh, Christians have committed wars. Yeah, 200 years ago. I mean, I think there's another one around the corner. But there's going to be a third world war against Islam. And it's amazing how England has been completely destroyed. And yet such a huge portion of England are still all like, oh, it's free will. A second person I was speaking to was, she has a big collection of clothes, and her bikinis are always very nice. So I believe that she's got thousands of clothes like me. We were talking about how we have a huge amount of clothes, but yeah, I've spoken to her quite a lot of times, and she's always told me that her ex has just caused her loads and loads of problems, and has accused her of being violent and a bad mum and never around, and I don't know what, but he said that he was basically lying. He was, everything he was saying in court was just lying to try and get the kids and paint me out to be a bad mother. So she's gone through loads and loads of problems, and yet if I was trying to tell her that, I think, I was trying to subtly say to her that there was, there's a huge rise of Islamic people in the area, because she said she was from the area that she used to live here, and then she moved somewhere else in Birmingham, but I was trying to say that this is a problem, and she was trying to say, no, it's not a problem, my partner is that, and I'm just like, yeah, but you've been saying loads and loads of bad things about it, so you've put yourself through years and years of trauma. If you hadn't have gone through an Islamic person, maybe you would have gone through somewhat a white person, and maybe you would have been allowed to raise your kids and actually experience things with your kids, instead of having to spend all your money on lawyers to try and get access to custody and try and prove that you're not mentally incapable of looking after kids. Maybe if you had have realised the problems in Islam, you might have not gone down that path. I've heard her say some, I can't remember what she said exactly, but I've always felt like, a bit sorry for her over what her ex-partner has done. So for her to defend it, it's like, oh, but I've got Asian kids, you've got to be respectful to Asians. Yeah, but your partner has come from somewhere else and has been raised up under obviously Islamic beliefs or something like this, and this is what's caused problems. Now, if you raise your kids up properly, then they won't have the problems, but you're not raising your kids. The partner has stolen your kids, so he's raising her kids up with Islamic beliefs. Now, just because if that's what he's doing, so I don't really know the situation. I don't know if it's Islamic or Asian. She just said Asian, but it might have been Islamic because, well, he's taken the kids and then is trying to say this she's a bad mother and doesn't have any access. But if he's the one who's raising the kids, and he's going to bring up the kids under his Islamic beliefs, and yeah, your kids are going to have a problem, because they're going to have these beliefs that they can just take the kids off the mother and belittle the mother as much as they can, and she's just thinking, I think a part of her is thinking, that is there truth to this? It's like he's convinced her that there's enough truth to it, that she doesn't even see it as, I don't know what to say, because there's something wrong with her skin that does make her look like she's taken drugs, but maybe she's been taking drugs because of all the problems that she's been going through. I don't know, or if it's just a skin condition. There's something about her skin that makes her look like she's been doing something that's damaged her skin, which could be drugs, but I don't think it is that. I don't know, I don't know. So it's a bit of a situation, but she seems like a decent person that didn't deserve to have this, but I don't know. I can't comment because I don't know enough. But I'm feeling anxiety because when you know that there's a problem, and the Islamic people coming here and changing us, changing the culture, changing the demographics, the demographics of the country, so that they now have more influence in the culture. Hence England becomes more and more Islamic because of the government changing. The government is changing. What someone else said this. The government's changing because They just, all they care about is getting votes. So that if the demographic changes, the government is going to change because they want to please their Islamic audience. So if they get loads and loads of Islamic people here, and the Islamic people want Sharia law, they're going to be like, yeah, we'll allow Sharia law, and yeah, you can have all these mosques, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with this, and I'm just doing this because I want lots of votes, and there's lots of Islamic people, and they're having lots of babies. So yeah, let's do all this to please the Islamic people without actually doing any research into what Islam teaches and what Islam is about, and the country has been totally destroyed. And the annoying thing is, probably about 70% of the British public, people who have been here for more than 20 years, probably don't even see anything wrong with Islam, because they would still defend these people and just be like, oh, don't be racist. I'm not being racist. I'm seeing an actual problem and you are just being blinded to it. I think they don't realise that the countries became good 20 years ago, or they became much more evolved, much better, because all the right people were in the areas that were making it better. The right people now are scattering, and that we're going elsewhere because we no longer feel safe, and the country has been handed over to stupid people that just don't see the truth, blind people who just want to pretend that everything is fine, and I want to leave. I really want to leave. So I'm feeling anxiety because I don't know. And my neighbour, the person in the flat, said heating's not working. Or she said it yesterday. It was saying it's not working. Today it's saying it's not working as it usually did. I mean, my guess is that she hasn't used it for a couple of months, and it might have not turned on as soon as possible. And maybe it has started working now, but she's just saying it's. I have to leave it a week with her, because I know when she first moved in, she complained that the dishwasher wasn't working. So I got someone out, paid like £60 to fix the dishwasher, and all he did was turn it off and then turn it back on again, and the problem resolved. And then a month later, the same thing happened again. You just turn it off and then turn it on, and then the problem resolved. But I didn't know that. I thought she'd actually done lots of properly tried it and realised that it wasn't working. But yeah, I think she might have also there might have also been some fairy liquid or something in there to make it very foamy. I don't know, but yeah, she's also saying that there's a leak in the bath again, or the bath is leaking. But I know she said this to me before. 2 years ago, she said that there was lots of leaks in the bath, and I told her to keep the curtain inside the bath, and the problem seemed to disappear. And the same things happen again, and she said it's not because the curtain's not inside the bath, but I'm not convinced. I mean, last time if there's a leak, there'd be a leak every single time. So unless there's a leak every single time, I don't believe that there is a leak. I think water is just getting outside of the bath, and I don't know what the problem is, but it worries me. It worries me that there's problems, because every time you call a builder out, and if you've got a heating problem and a plumbing problem, well, these are usually two different people you have to call out. And but yeah, if it's just a simple case of the boiler hasn't been used for 3 months and it just wasn't turning on as soon as possible, then that might actually just fix itself. And the plumbing thing, I don't know, because it might just be that one of her kids has left the shower curtain open and not told her, and she's saying, no, I have closed it, when really one of her kids or someone, maybe a tenant that she's got in there, keeps not doing the right thing. I don't know, but I've asked her to tell me, does it happen every single time, or does it just happen once a week? If it just happens once a week, then the problem is obviously that someone is not closing the shower curtain properly. But yeah, it is a big problem, because I don't really have the money to afford it. But I'm hoping that that PIP will help with that. If I'm not worried about money, that will give me less anxiety. Because if I'm living off £450 a week, and yeah, I have to spend £100, so £450 a month. But if I have to spend £100 on fixing something, fixing boilers that technically can just be easily fixed, I just don't know how to do it. I know that the pressure kept dropping before. Last year, the pressure kept dropping, and you had to turn a handle, rise up the pressure, press a button to rise up the pressure, and then you have to do it. And then you have to turn it off, shut the clip up. So I don't know, but I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety, and I'm feeling like war is just around the corner. And I'm and I'm feeling anxiety because I still don't know how many people are watching my videos. I don't know if the English government are aware of what I'm saying. I watched a clip yesterday where that girl was talking into her phone, into the iPhone. You know, that the girl with brown hair that talks to ChatGPT or something like that. And she was saying, what is the rapture about? And the ChatGPT gave an answer that I completely disagree with, but it was that your frequency changes and you are able to hide better. You know, I don't believe that, but at the same time, in 2013, something happened to me, and suddenly I feel completely disconnected from the world because everything I say online just seems to be ignored. I'm not getting any hits, I'm not getting any views, and Facebook have done something to my page. They've got like a different type page now that actually says, there's like a button where you can actually see how many people are reading your posts. That is making it look like no one's reading my posts. Is that the point of doing this? You've done something to Facebook posts so that if anyone does come across my anti-Islamic posts, they can look to see how many people have read my posts, and if it only says 5 or 6 hits, then they're going to assume that this message is not being read or taken seriously by anyone. You know, is that the point of it? I don't know. But it's making me feel like no one's reading my posts, because that is how it is. That's what it's saying. It's saying that no one is reading my posts, and with some stupid AI thing saying that the rapture is about being hidden so that no one can see you. You know, that's not exactly. I'm going through what I'm going through because people should see what I'm posting. I'm just hoping it's some sort of army and proper intelligent people who know what's going on and who aren't just going to be blind like these two people from that I met in the sauna. One has an Islamic husband that's just caused her problems all her life, and she's like, oh no, but I've got Islamic kids, so don't say anything bad about Islam. Sorry, but if your father has been raising your kids up with Islamic beliefs, then yes, you are going to have a problem because your kids are going to now be Islamic, and that is not a good thing. And yet she doesn't want me to say anything, even though it's not her choice, even though she didn't want that to happen. And then the other one was just, I don't know. There's some very good things in Islam. You know, it's offered the world some very good things. If there wasn't any truth to it, then why would it have spread so massively? Because I hate everyone, and I want everyone to die, and therefore I've created this big war to just cause punishment. And I know the truth about why Islam exists. Islam exists to punish people for worshipping Christianity. I don't like Christianity. There's only about one thing that I like in Christianity, which is that it makes people find Christ, but it's all about the wrong Christ. So I don't like Christianity. And Islam helps punish Christians, and that was the main cause of it. It was to cause trouble, it was to cause war, it was to cause pain and suffering, so that people would actually learn to seek the real truth, which is that the truth about God is not found in old scriptures written thousands of years ago, because everyone was dumb and stupid. The truth about God is that you have to evolve, you have to change, you have to die, you have to be reincarnated, and you have to keep doing that over and over again until you start finding more intelligence, more truth, and you actually start knowing the truth about God, which is that these books were actually written by morons. That is the truth, and the point of Islam was to start wars. And all I said to her was that Islam causes lots of wars. Oh no, well, Christianity causes lots of wars. I mean, if you think about all the Christian wars, that was 200 years ago. Most Christians have moved on from that, and to say that Christianity is the same as Islam. Well, Christians caused wars thousands of years ago, and Islam is causing thousands of wars now, yes, and it's killing lots of people, but they're the same. That's the same. One's more evolved. Can you not understand? Can you not understand? I want to give up. I want to give up, because if that is a representation of what most people in England is like, then war needs to come here, and they need to feel the punishment of shit that happens, because this is their punishment for not realizing that actually there's absolutely no truth in Islam. You know, I did say that I believe that God is a female, and that I think everything Islam worships in regard to God is the opposite of the truth. And she was just like, so you don't think God's graceful? You don't think God's gentle? I think that just angered me, actually. That angered me, because I don't like being gentle. No, I like being feminine, but I do not see feminine as being gentle. I see feminine as being pink, liking pink and stuff like that. It's not gentle. I don't like being gentle. In fact, the thought that she thinks that God is gentle, and that God can't be. Of course, there's truth in Islam. I mean, God is gentle. God, I just wanted to punch her like that. That's how calling me gentle makes me want to punch you, because I want to prove that I'm not gentle. Like, I hate Islam. I hate Islam, and I want to be anything but gentle to them. And I know that's probably one of the better words, but it's not one of the better words. It's one of the words that I least want to be, considering everything Islam has done to people in the world and stuff. And it's just to have people so blind. I can't remember the word she used, but they did science. They invented the abacus or whatever. What is the abacus? What the fuck is that? I have no idea.